Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my second trimester. And if you didn't catch my last video, I will put a link in the show notes down below. But in my previous one, I talked about my pregnancy and my first trimester, which, well, if you watch the video, you can see it was pretty rough. But now we're going to talk about the second trimester, and I apologize for the lighting. I've been struggling with this, but we're just going to have to deal with the sun and the shade and all that stuff. So, okay, so my second trimester. Following the first trimester, which was completely chaos, I was depressed and in this black hole. But thank God, during week 14, pregnancy week 14 that is, I was starting to feel like the nausea was subsiding and the fatigue was also subsiding. And with those two things, like not being completely present all of the time, I really felt like I got some motivation back, I got some joy back in my life. And as the days went by, I got happier and stronger, and I felt more like myself. And I started doing workouts again, like I used to do before I got pregnant. I could cycle, I could do cardio, I could go for my walks. I started doing strength training, and I also started doing a daily yoga challenge. So I was really up in it, and that made me so happy because I started feeling a lot more like myself. So my depression kind of decreased, and I just got a little bit of joy back into my life. And during this time, I was also traveling a lot for work, and that was a struggle in itself because I did experience a lot of fatigue still, and things that usually were fine for me were like, well, let's just say I got tired a lot sooner during this time, but I still managed to do everything that I wanted to do, so I was happy for that. Since I wasn't nauseous anymore, I could also start eating a lot more healthy foods and things that I normally would crave, like fruits and veggies. But when I came home from my traveling, which I think was during week 18, I started experiencing a pain that I had never felt before in my life. It was kind of located around my pelvis and my lower back. And at first I thought it was muscle pain because I had been carrying my suitcase and being out traveling and carrying things and just doing things that I didn't normally do. But the pain didn't subside. It was still there after a couple of days, and I just realized that this is not something normal that I have experienced before. So I started Googling, and I quickly realized that I had round ligament pain, and that's pretty common in pregnancies, but it usually kind of happens in the third trimester or like before birth, and it means that the hormone relaxin kicks in into your muscle tissue, and it helps kind of your pelvis to open up and prepare for birth, and it helps the muscle tissue to kind of widen and get softer so that your baby will be able to submerge through your vajayjay. But for me, it happened pretty early in my pregnancy, and there isn't a lot of research about why it happens or why certain people get it and certain people don't get it. But apparently, if you are prone to be very like bendy and stretchy and flexible in your body, you are a little bit more prone to get this pain earlier in the pregnancy. And so that was the case for me. I got the pain early, and it was just so painful. So I had to start adjusting everything in my life, from walks to workouts, to how often I could go into the office, how I moved. I had to take shorter steps when I was out walking. I couldn't carry things. I mean, of course I could carry things, but I shouldn't. The advice was to not carry things, like not vacuum, not walk upstairs. Avoiding those things are really hard, but I had to make great adjustments. If I usually went for like an hour walk, I could only go for 30 minutes at a time now. I just kind of fell into that depression hole again, where I just had to adjust my life constantly, and once again for this pregnancy. And the thing with the pain is that it comes in like clusters, so I can have a week that's really awful, and then I can have a couple of days that are better, and it's really hard to know how to treat the pain, because some things work some days and then the next day it's just not. And basically I felt mind fucked, and I didn't know how to navigate this thing. And I did a lot of research. I went to see a personal trainer. I got all the tools that I needed. I did everything I could, and it just didn't work. Like some days could just be excruciating, even though I hadn't done anything to like deserve it. So it was really hard for me, but one of the things I did do was I started doing strength training to strengthen my pelvis and my pelvic floor. And I think that helped a little bit, but I don't know. It just, like I said, it's hard to evaluate if it worked or not, or if it is working or not working, because some days are just awful, even though I haven't done anything special, and then some days could be really good after I've had like a really intense workout. So, and my belly, of course, started growing a little bit more, so I had to go shopping for some new outfits, which was really challenging for me, because I had already gained some weight, and now I had gained even more weight, and getting bigger clothes has just always been very triggering for me, so I wanted to kind of avoid it until the last minute. But now I really had to go get something, like some new I got some new workout pants, like tights and leggings, in a bigger size to begin with. And at the end of the trimester, I also ordered some clothes with like the pregnancy belly attached to them, because I felt like it wasn't nice when the clothes were like sitting really tight around the belly. Okay, let's talk about some go-tos during my second trimester. We'll start with foods. I was so happy that I wasn't nauseous anymore. I could be a little bit nauseous from day to day, but it wasn't at all like 24/7 like it had been during my first trimester. And I could go back to eating the way that I was eating before. Like, some of the things were still disgusting, but most of them I've been able to gradually reintroduce into my diet. Like veggies, fruit. I had a lot of bananas and berries, apples, and citrus fruit. And I started eating oatmeal for breakfast every morning. That was really like nice. And in the evenings and for lunch, I really loved having soup and like some bread along with that. And at the end of the second trimester, I could also start reintroducing some decaf coffee again. And I had seriously been hating coffee so much since I got pregnant, because it was the most disgusting smell in my life, especially coffee with milk. But during my second trimester, like during the end of it, I started feeling like cravings to try it out again. And as long as I didn't use any milk or anything, I could have a little sip and just that was fine. So I started gradually having a little cup of coffee here and there, but of course decaf. Another thing that was a go-to for me was supplements. I had a deficiency in both iron and B12, so I had to take supplements for that. And I also took a prenatal from the brand Thorne, which has like pretty much everything that you need during pregnancy. I also started taking electrolytes and some other little supplements that I actually already had in my cabinet but wasn't using, like zinc and extra magnesium and omega-3 and collagen. And this might be a surprise for some people, but 2 of the pills that I was taking was actually not vegan, and I decided to make that decision because I know that, for instance, some vitamins and minerals are hard to get through a strict vegan diet, and so I just felt like I just want to do what is best for me and the baby, and if that means taking supplements that aren't completely plant-based during a short amount of time, then it was fine to do so. So like I said before about workouts, I started my second trimester by working out a lot, and then I had to adjust, but I did stop doing anything. I just made my workouts a little bit more gentle and a little shorter. So I kept up with my cardio, I went for walks, I did a lot of pilates and daily yoga. One of the things that I actually started doing that I hadn't done before was prenatal yoga, and that was because I felt like my belly was getting too big to be able to do core exercises that were in my regular Pilates classes. And I also did a lot of workouts that was focused on my pelvic floor and some strength workouts with weights, like not too heavy weights, like I think maximum 7 or 8 kilos. And my favorite account on YouTube for that was NourisheMoveLove, and I'm gonna link that down below. And my favorite workouts as well. That was a go-to for me. And like I said, Pilates with Melissa Wood Health. And I'm going to link, like the workouts that I actually can link, I will link down below, the ones that I loved. One account that I love on YouTube is NourisheMoveLove. And I also do a lot of workouts on the Melissa Wood platform. That's a subscription platform, so I can't link the workouts, but I can name a few of the ones that I really like. And for yoga, I always go to Yoga with Adriene. She's on YouTube as well, and she is like the best. I've been doing yoga with her for over, I think, 10 years soon, so I really recommend her. Okay, so some other things that I did during my second trimester, since I couldn't move as much as I used to do, was read books. And I started reading a lot of like psychology books and books about parenting. I can link some of the ones that I read down below as well. I really found that interesting because I want to prepare mentally and I want to know how I can optimize parenting my child. And I also listened to a lot of podcasts. My favorites were the Move with Heart podcast with Melissa Wood, the Highest Self podcast with Sahara, and the Expanded podcast from To Be Magnetic. Those are awesome if you want to like just get into personal development and just boost your confidence and get closer to your higher self. Another thing that I realized pretty quickly was that my energy reserves were shrinking. So like I said before, I couldn't do as much as I was used to, and I had to learn how to preserve and to basically I had to learn how to preserve my energy. And so an important thing for me was to like shut everything off. like if I had had a day out in the city with lots of like sound around me, lots of energy around me, I needed like silence when I came home. I needed to get on my mat and just stretch and meditate. That was really important for me. To be in nature was also a big one. Go and see the trees, hug trees, get fresh air. And I also started doing breathwork classes, and I had never experienced anything like that before I started doing the breathwork classes, but they were amazing and so helpful for my anxiety and my like constant worrying about things. And so that was also really big. And some like physical things, I love sleeping with BB Hug Me pillow. When the belly gets a little bigger and your hips and your pelvis area is in pain, it is so comfortable to sleep with this pillow, and I'm gonna insert some pictures here of it. It is just magical. If you are pregnant or planning on getting pregnant, get this pillow. I loved it so much, or a similar one, of course. This is only one of many brands. I also got this little beautiful necklace from my mom. It's like this little bell that you put it around your neck, and the bell ends up around the belly, and when the baby starts hearing noise, it will hear the bell during the day when you walk around and get familiar with that sound. And then when the baby is born, you can use the bell, you can put it in the stroller, or you can like sew it into a stuffed animal or something, and the baby will feel comfortable with the sound outside of the belly as well. So I thought that was really cute. I'm really happy that my mom gave me that gift. I've been wearing it as much as I can. And lastly, I got so extremely dry in my skin. I had to double up on moisturizers for my face and my body, and I needed to moisturize twice a day. And I also got a little itchy like everywhere in my body. I mean, not the typical pregnancy itch that some people can get that you need like help with. This was just like a dryness itch. So if you are pregnant in the early stages, or if you're planning on getting pregnant, just make sure that you moisturize, because that was a big one for me. Okay, now I've been ranting about these things for a while, and it's time to finish up. I hope that you found this video useful, and like I said before, I'm going to link whatever I can that I talked about in the show notes down below, so you can check them out as well. This video is not sponsored or anything. This is just me sharing the tips and the tools that I got during my second trimester that I would definitely use if I ever got pregnant again, or that I would recommend to others. So I hope that you enjoy this video, and if you liked it, please like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in my next one.